What's up, Domeheads? We are here the morning after in front of the undefeated Amador, where UTSA continues the streak of wins, continues to beat North Texas's behinds 48-27 to reach 500 on the season in both overall and in conference play, to knock North Texas down to 500 on their season. I mean, there's just nothing sweeter than beating the hell out of UNT. UNT sucks, but the Roadrunners, their last two wins, two of the most impressive wins in Jeff Traylor's time here when you consider this season and everything that's been attached to it so far. Just unbelievable stuff, Jared. Just unbelievable stuff.
Lot of big accomplishments for this win. 4 in a row over North Texas. That moves Jeff Traylor to 4-1 against the Mean Green.
Oh my gosh.
Still undefeated at home this season.
Yep.
Win streak.
Yep.
Set a school record for total yardage.
Oh my gosh. Nearly 700 total yards of offense, 681 total yards of offense, and I believe 450 something of those coming on the arms and legs of Mr. Owen McCown. Unbelievable stuff from Owen, man. Like he's tapping into a higher IQ of quarterback right now. We've seen him growing up right before our eyes. I think he's been a stud throwing the ball all year, but he's gotten better with his legs, Jared.
Right.
Being able to see the opportunity to scramble, being decisive when that opportunity comes, and then being smart when he's scrambling. Getting out of bounds.
Staying in bounds sometimes.
Staying in bounds when he needed to keep the clock moving. Getting out of bounds when he needed to stop the clock. Like, very, very high stuff. Sliding when he needed to. Took some on the chin to try to get a first down when he needed to, get that extra yard. Like, dude, just very, very high IQ football from Owen McCown. You're seeing the game slow down for him this season. And the synchronicity between him and his receivers, too. There were a couple times where he was letting the ball go before the receiver had turned around. By the time the receiver turned around, it was right there.
Right. It's the difference of throwing the receiver open versus throwing to the open receiver.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful stuff.
And we didn't see that a month ago.
No. Right. There were a couple plays where, the fans around me would groan because it was an incomplete pass. But I was like, yes, that's awesome, Owen. There's nothing there. Throw the ball away. Don't take a negative play. And in most cases, they ended up, getting the field goal or getting the first down conversion on the next play.
Yeah.
Right. So that's great to see. I loved it. And, too, if you think back to the offseason, right, everyone wanted UTSA to go out and get that transfer quarterback. Chandler Morris being high on the list, right?
Yeah.
Relationship between Jeff and Chandler Morris's dad, right? Another Texas high school football coach. Well, they stuck with Owen. And Owen drastically outplays Chandler Morris in the Amador. I mean, 9-day difference, right? Morris threw a couple interceptions. He was fairly inaccurate, actually, on some of his throws. Zay Frazier got 2 picks, right? So there was no question of who the better quarterback was in this game, which was pretty cool because, 5 months ago, no one would have expected that. So it's great to see.
Owen McCown on the day, 29 for 43, 379 yards passing.
Ooh, buddy.
2 touchdowns. And 10 carries for 88 yards. Ridiculous. Just ridiculous stuff from Owen. But even more of a storyline, despite Owen's unbelievable performance, is the guy he's throwing the ball to in his coming out party as a UTSA Roadrunner. We saw him come back from his hamstring injury against Memphis, but against UNT, David Amador, a work of art. 9 receptions, 122 yards, and a touchdown with a little salsa step after. It was unbelievable, like the swagger, but the guy's open. 2 toe tap sideline catches, one of them number 5 on ESPN Sports Center top 10. All over the field, Jared, all over the field. David Amador's open. He's making moves after he catches the ball, getting yards after the catch. Just a stud, brother, just a stud. One of the only Hispanic wide receivers in Division I college football, right here in San Antonio, putting it on for La Raza. David Amador, stud, coming out party for UTSA. It's just tremendous stuff to see.
Yeah, he had another completed pass as well, his second on the season.
Yeah.
So it's great to see all the different ways that UTSA can leverage his skill set. Just a very explosive player. I think this season probably would have been a lot different if he'd have been healthy all year long. I think him and McEwen early in the season would have made a dynamic duo together, and it's unfortunate, that he wasn't healthy. But I think he's back to 100% now. His speed on that middle screen kind of drag route they ran, they scored a touchdown on. I mean, once he caught the ball, I was just screaming touchdown. You knew he was gone,
He
right?
was gone.
And he didn't have that same speed against Memphis. He seemed to be a couple of steps slower. So great to see him getting healthy, and he just brings so much to this offense.
And, you know, in the preseason, when they would talk to David Amador, they would ask him, you know, what do you think you bring to the table? What are your summer strengths? And he's like, I am a Swiss Army knife.
Right.
You can put me anywhere, and I will execute. I'm fast. I can catch the ball. I can throw the ball. And here you see him doing it all three phases. Incredible, man. Incredible. There's a particular moment in that game. It's early in the first half where UTSA just flips the thing on its head. I think we're up 7-0, and UNT is driving downfield. They're moving the chains rather effortlessly. Alamo Dome crowd starts to get into it. We start banging some signage. Guys start yelling. Lower bowl starts yelling. Starts getting into it. UNT's still moving the ball downfield. And then there's this sequence of 4 plays, which I think, Jared, is maybe the most impressive 4-play sequence in UTSA history. And I know everyone will be like, oh, what about the UAB game? Oh, what about the UNT game? No.
The Texas game.
No. Those were offensive sequences exclusively.
Okay.
This was all 3 phases sequence that we saw in an interception, 2-play touchdown drive, and then an onside kick recovery. Offense, defense, special teams. The most impressive 4-play stretch I've seen in UTSA history. We go up 14-0. We get the onside kick, and despite not getting any points on that, which we did a lot of things wrong yesterday.
Sure.
That drive was one of them. However, I digress. That 4-play sequence snatches the soul out of the Mean Green football team. They never recover.
Right.
They never recover. We run away with that game and beat the hell out of the Mean Green after that sequence, dude. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, and you know, I think in that series is a good example of something that I thought was pretty consistent throughout the whole game. I think Jeff Traylor completely outcoached Eric Morris. I mean, UNT just never looked like they had a great game plan. They were misaligned on a lot of plays. You know, most of Owen's 80 yards of rushing was like North Texas not having anyone at all in the middle of the field. They never put a spy on him or even had any coverage there for someone that would have a chance to make a play on the quarterback when he took off. And then that onside kick, I mean, I was like, they must have seen something on film that told them that would be there. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's completely uncharacteristic of Jeff Traylor to try an onside kick like that because he's done it in the past. But then, you know, glory of the ESPN2 broadcast, there was like an overhead camera angle on the replay where you can see that UNT's had their sideline guy was like well off the line of scrimmage. And obviously they hadn't been doing that previously for them to see it and then take the chance to roll the dice on that. Just one of many examples. Why did UNT keep testing Zay Frazier? That was bizarre to me.
Very bizarre.
He got 2 picks. He got his hands, I think, on a third and maybe a 4th one as well. He was definitely UTSA's best corner in the game, and yet they continued to try to test him. And Zay did an awesome job. I mean, he really didn't let up much at all, and just a really bewildering strategy for me that UNT would try to, go after him like that. You know,
I think you're absolutely right. X's and O's wise, we saw a big out-coach, but I also feel like what I was most surprised with was the lack of resolve from UNT. Because again, like that soul-snatching sequence of those 4 plays, and there was like a little bit of like almost like a laying down. Like, I don't know, like I expected a lot more fight, a lot more comeback from UNT. And they seem to kind of just check themselves out. Is it UTSA ghosts? Like, damn, we just can't win in this building or whatever it is. But like I saw sort of a little bit of a mental checkout just from the spirit removal definitely occurred for UNT, man. And that was pretty shocking. Completely eliminate the wide receiver threat that is DT Sheffield.
3 catches for 13 yards from the best receiver in the conference. And how many players in the secondary was UTSA missing? Ken Robinson's out.
Yeah.
I think Denver Harris was out still.
Yeah.
And I think there's one other as well.
And Jeff Traylor doubles down with, we'll let all your other guys catch as many balls as they want. As long as this guy doesn't, we'll be just fine.
Right.
And it absolutely did work. Because UNT had open receivers very consistently all throughout the game, but none of them were DT Sheffield.
Right. Morris struggled to hit some of those open receivers sometimes. And another thing that I found interesting too is UTSA has always been a very aggressive defense under Jess Lepp. But they only rushed 3 or 4 guys most of the night. They did not blitz as heavily as they typically would.
Yeah.
Which was a very stark contrast for UTSA's defense, but it worked out really well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They only got 1 sack on Chandler Morris. They didn't bring a whole lot of pressure on him, but they let him, force some throws. I think they saw that on film that Chandler was going to take those risks, and they thought that they might pick a couple of them off, and they certainly did. Right. So. Great adjustment from UTSA, and I didn't expect that coming in. I thought they would, really throw the house at Chandler Morris. So I thought that was a great decision. They executed that really well to put a lot of coverage back there in the secondary.
Yeah, there was clean pockets, I think, on both sides. I think they got to Owen a little bit, but he had a clean pocket a lot throughout the game.
Yeah, some of those sacks were on him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. The thing about, you talk about Jeff Traylor and really feeling himself as that game sort of progressed and calling those ballsy plays like the onside kick, going for it on 4th and inches when you could have taken the points and made it a 3-possession game, 17-0. You go for the 4th down, you don't get it. Jeff Traylor did say he overrode Justin Burke on that play call.
Oh,
in the press conference, in the post-game presser, he said that was my decision. I overrode. That's on me. And so that was good. But Jeff Traylor was feeling himself throughout the game, and we saw those ballsy plays. And another thing is, I don't know if he's making those same calls against a non-rivalry team too.
Sure, yeah.
That comes out in the rivalry games, absolutely. Sure. You're feeling yourself, let's kick these guys' asses. Yep. We want to kick their ass. So that happens. You absolutely see that. But I think UTSA was also very far away from perfect. Superb passing game. A lot of holes on defense. Rushing game really did not come together. It was good. It was not great.
The box score makes it look better than it was.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think Robert Henry ran for 9 yards a carry, but of course he had an 80-yard run that North Texas just kind of gave up on. The linebackers didn't even attempt to make a play on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, when I did an interview with J.D. Davis, who covers UNT, he was like, North Texas just has a habit of giving the opposing team's running back a career day because they're not good on run defense, and that was the case. First, over 100 rushing yard performance from a UTSA running back this season, and almost at 200. I think Henry had 186 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the run game was better for UTSA. There was a little bit better push, but it was still not great. And I think if you look at the box score, you might be tempted to say, "Oh, the running game is fixed." They're gonna close the season strong there. But yeah, I still saw a lot of concern.
20 carries for Robert Henry for 168 yards. But that's off the back of an 83-yard touchdown run at the very end of the game in the 4th quarter to really, really seal the thing.
Yep.
But without that 83-yard run, it's an 80-yard day for Robert Henry.
Right, exactly.
So that's actually what put him over that threshold. Jeff Traylor's in there calling out reporters in the post-game presser for doubting the culture. We still had 8 penalties for 89 yards.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the question, right? Were the penalties ever really the issue, or they just need to get better on offense and defense?
Clearly, they haven't really cared about the penalties. As long as we could fix the execution, commit the damn penalties, who cares?
Donye had another dumb one after a North Texas touchdown.
Every week.
Yeah, every
What's
week.
that streak at?
How many penalty yards alone does he have this year?
What is that personal foul streak at? For him,
God.
what is that? What is that? I mean, it's got to be insane.
Yeah.
Just every game this season. Look, I think Jeff Traylor is right in that all year he's been telling us it's an experience thing. These guys are young. They got to get the reps in. We've seen those reps come together. This team is getting more experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of discipline issues there.
Definitely.
That I think for this team to get to that top echelon of the conference that they need to be at in 2025, which is where expectations are going to be after these 2 weeks, rightfully so.
I think so.
They have to clean that sort of thing up. They have to clean that up.
You can play as good as they've had against Memphis and North Texas, but if you continue to have 8 penalties, you're not going to beat Army. You can't beat them with that lack of discipline.
No way. You can't beat Army. You're going to have a hard time against a Tulane. You're going to have a hard time against a Memphis. You're not giving yourself the bet. And then, when you want to get those prize fights and knock off a rank score, knock off a P5, and you really can't afford to do that sort of stuff.
Right. But it is good to see. I mean, like you said, the team is developing, especially Owen. So that margin of error is widening, where they can get away with it a little bit now. But you play some of the better teams out there, and that margin shrinks back down again.
It does, man. It does. And when you're feeling yourself, you're prone to kind of doing that stuff a little bit more.
Yeah.
But look, We'll focus more on the bad when we do our full recap.
Sure.
20 first downs to UNT, 30 first downs for UTSA. It's 10 for 18 third down conversions for UTSA, 10 out of 18. UNT 2 for 11 on third downs, 1 for 5 on fourth downs. UTSA has the ball for 39 minutes of total offense.
And they couldn't run the ball. That's the crazy part.
Only 20 minutes of possession for UNT. But yeah, 480 yards of UNT's offense, dude. It's nothing to scoff at.
Right.
They just didn't put it up on the points. But dude, they had a good day on offense.
Yeah.
But it's a mollywhopping. It is a complete ass kicking of Mean Green from the UTSA Roadrunners.
Adrian, just visually, how much bigger UTSA was than North Texas was really shocking. Because North Texas has recruited pretty well recently. They did not look physically like UTSA looked.
And we were faster.
Oh yeah.
How about that chase down on UNT's really, really long? When I think they ended up getting into the end zone, but guys didn't quit on that play.
Right,
we still had the goal line drag down just on speed. I mean, there's like a 7-yard gap that was closed on that. In closing speed, bigger and faster, better athletes.
Yep.
Definitely better athletes. There was a class difference there. And UTSA is rolling with momentum. UNT is not. I think you saw that too, Jared. Mental resolve from this team. I was talking to a lot of people in the parking lot, and they were asking me, what do you think? Because I'm still really uncertain. And I felt like after the Memphis win that UTSA got this right. They got their heads clear. I think prior to the Memphis win, it was very cloudy for the Roadrunners. Hadn't quite trusted themselves, hadn't quite believed in themselves, that confidence wasn't just spewing out. They got really clear-headed and really dialed in, and you saw a team very dialed in, minimal mistakes. They looked fantastic against UNT. They looked fantastic. Coming off of Memphis, I think that was a big monkey off of their back. I fully expect this team to be bowl eligible next week over Temple with a massive win. Massive win, Jared.
Final two thoughts for me. First off, injuries on the offensive line yet again. Kamar, Missouri, I think was in street clothes by the end of the game, so that's never a good sign.
Sucks.
I think Jalen Garth went down as well. So I saw Buffalo Cruz out there. I couldn't tell who the other offensive tackle getting the majority of the snaps was. I'll have to check that in my rewatch. So another cause for concern there, but they found a way to win without them against North Texas. So
scary moment on David Amador's first catch.
True. Yeah.
Goes down, lands on that shoulder. You're like, no. And then he ends up coming out and having a career day.
Yep. Tough kid.
The real question is, Jared, and this is what the people really want to know. Does UTSA stay in the lights out unis for the rest of November?
Well, you're playing on Friday again against Temple, right?
You are. On ESPN2 again.
On ESPN2 again. I think you got to ride him out,
I'll allow it in the Alamo Dome for Friday Night Lights against Temple.
Yeah.
You do not wear black uniforms to West Point.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's corny.
No, agreed.
Don't do it on the road. If they want to do it one more week, I think it would be epic. I also think the value for the auction off that they're going to do for those jerseys post-year, the value skyrockets. If they do it 3 weeks in a row, 3-0, season turnaround, full eligibility, like that now all of a sudden that is an enormous collector's item.
Those are historic uniforms at that point. They're kind of like when UTSA was doing the icy whites, like there was like this mythicism about the icy white, the stormtrooper uniforms, right?
Yes.
So the black jerseys could be that for this group of UTSA players.
Yeah.
Hey, and also big shout out to Tate Sandell. He had a great game. He's leading the conference in total field goals made.
Yes.
Just a pillar of consistency. Great showing from him. Big part of this win. And hope he gets the recognition he deserves and finishes off the year strong. All right, guys. It's been a blast. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you guys back
next Friday right there. Sold out Alamo Dome. ESPN2. Everyone, pack that damn thing. Let's get it packed for the home finale. I think this team deserves a packed crowd now. Absolutely.